Welcome to the Ceopulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. Today we have Dan Welch. We go way, way, way back. I mean, we met, maybe 15 years ago?
Yeah.
Or so, back at the fire department? Yeah, it's been a long time. So you own Fuel Fitness Yuma, which is a CrossFit gym, right?
Yeah, correct.
And you've been in business for about 3 years, so you've kind of seen the both sides of working at an organization and then developing and jumping into entrepreneurship and then setting up your own shop pretty much. Tell me a little bit about like the history and how you got started. Where you first got the first ideas and the itch kind of started to become an entrepreneur and then launch on your own and set up shop.
Okay. Well, for starters, I've always kind of been someone that's wanted to do my own thing for a really long time. I mean, since I was young. The big thing for me was, I struggled with authority like my whole life. I'm not going to lie. I was in the Marine Corps and that's funny. But yeah, man, I've always been one to kind of buck the system. And I worked for the government for the fire department for almost 12 years. And it was just starting to drag on me pretty bad. Like I was just kind of over the whole schedule. I was missing a lot of my family, I was gone all the time. And so I kind of got bored and I went overseas to Afghanistan in like mid 2012. And so I did some time over there, and that's actually where I found CrossFit. And I started doing it pretty heavy, pretty religiously, I guess you'd call it. And as soon as I got home, I found a gym and I started working out, and I knew right then that this is probably something I wanted to do, So I was still working for the fire department and just kind of grinding away and doing it day to day. And I was kind of getting to that point where I didn't want to be in fire service anymore. So I was talking to my wife, shooting ideas off her. It wasn't so much the gym, but just an idea of starting a business. And then an opportunity kind of came about. I was coaching for another gym here in town and still working for the fire department, and I ended up getting hurt, and I didn't want to. I kind of seen how it was going with them, and I didn't want it to be like people to see CrossFit like that. You know what I mean? So I wanted to kind of change the way that it was presented to people. So I went home and I talked to my wife about it, and pretty much, man, I started with $10,000. And a lot of support from my family. And I asked another guy at work, hey man, because he was really deep into CrossFit too. Hey, do you want to kind of open a business with me? And so we kind of milled it over a little bit and went through and just did it. I mean, it just kind of happened. Realistically, it just happened. So
you went into it without really knowing much about the industry, right? Kind of cold turkey. I mean, other than working out and I mean, did you prep for any of the business, aptitudes that you got to have when you're running a business? Do you have any idea of what, you have to be accountable for, how to hire, how to set up, systems, any of that stuff?
I knew absolutely nothing. We did our market research for our particular area, how many people lived here, how many people were obese, like what our target audience would be for us. But it was very raw and very generic, I guess you'd call it, not really knowing anything.
What does that look like when you're doing market research for a business like yours? Because I know there's a lot of, gym owners, and it's kind of become more popular over the last 5 years or so, to just, where you see like niche gyms kind of pop up and do that sort of thing. So what does it look like when you're looking at, okay, this is going to be my demographic, my target now?
Okay. For me at least, I knew exactly the kind of clientele that I wanted. So when I first initially found CrossFit, for me, I was struggling really bad with PTSD and a lot of other just issues from time in life. You know what I mean? So being overseas and being in the fire service for so long, I was struggling really bad mentally, and CrossFit really did save my life. So I was to a point in my life where I was, not the healthiest mentally, and this turned it around for me, and that was what I wanted to push for. So I know for a fact my wife works in the mental health field. So I know that it is a huge, huge need for every community is mental health. So that's the target audience that I really, really wanted to push. And I can teach anybody how to lift weights. I can teach anybody how to lift heavy things. You know what I mean? And it's the mental aspect of all of this that really intrigues me. So that's the knowing how many people in Yuma County need mental health services, and knowing how many people that don't even seek mental health services that actually need it. You know what I mean? So that was kind of what I was shooting for when I opened my gym. You know, we had to see how many people were in our area, obviously, and then we had to see what the mental health aspect looked like, and then what the obesity rate looked like. And a lot of that stuff has to do with obesity rate, and that all has to do with, you know, mental health. So most people are obese because of a mental health issue. You know what I mean? So you have to kind of have to figure out how to help these people. And I mean, 50% of Yuma County is obese. So,
man, that's scary stats. But yeah, I mean, I've worked there and I've seen it firsthand as well. It's pretty interesting, bro, that you used it at a personal level, like the particular niche of your business. You used it at a personal level and improved on it, and then decided to do something bigger with it. So, I mean, it almost kind of became, I mean, for what it sounds like, it almost kind of became like a passion of yours over a period of time, and then evolved into something that can, you know, all right, I can use this that helped me to help others, and branch out from that.
Yeah, that's exactly what we've been doing. And we have a huge core group of members. I mean, even with all this COVID-19 stuff going on, you know, a lot of my members have stuck with us. And I mean, because we've helped them, you know, and I care about everyone that comes in the door, you know, so it means a lot to me to be able to impact someone's life like that.
Well, I think, I mean, it's one of the biggest elements. I mean, to actually care about the people that you're serving, because at the end of the day, we are serving. Yeah, we might be entrepreneurs. We might have a problem with authority, but at the end of the day, we're here to serve somebody else, right? Otherwise, I mean, there's no value, you know, in the world, or, you know, from us. So, but that's it. I took a class the other day. I mean, you sent me a link and we were doing it via Zoom and everything. It's a pretty cool vibe, even though we weren't physically there, like everybody in the same room. I mean, it was just like people would look over at the screen and then take their time to do, you know, cheer you on. Come on, bro, you got this. And, you know, correct me when I was messing up on the squats and stuff like that. So like, I felt I was engaged.
Right.
And I think that you got to have the right culture within a group to have, you know, things like that just kind of pop up organically. And I didn't know any of them. I just walked in cold turkey and I didn't know any of them. I'm not a huge CrossFit guy. So, I mean, I work out, but I do other, you know, like I lift, I do MMA or sparring, you know, other things rather than CrossFit. So, I mean, I needed support, you know, going in there. And there was a lot of like little tweaks, little comments, and they kind of helped me out through the workout. And I mean, it was fun, but I think you got to have the right person to lead a group of people, and that person has to be empowered through something bigger than them. Which I mean, it makes sense that you're coming in from the military and applying that to your life, and then pushing it on, you know, to the people around you. So it's crazy, man. 50% in Yuma County. Obesity rates. Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's room for growth on your business. So jumping into like the more technical side of things, when you got into it, what happened? I mean, walk me through the first 6 months of the business. How was it for you as somebody who's coming in fresh?
Oh man, I struggled every single day, dude. Like, it was late nights. I was still working for the fire department, so I was on for 2 days, and my wife would coach for me, or my partner would coach, you know. But it was we only had like 1 or 2 people, so I was paying out of pocket for everything. It's not like the old saying, "Build it and they will come." You know, like, you have to gain traction and you have to gain a face. You know, no one knows you're there. So I actually hired a mentor almost immediately. Like almost immediately, within a couple months. and they've been great. And I've stuck with them the entire time. They taught me how to build all my systems. I built all my systems within a couple of months, just for the growth period. It had nothing to do with what I was doing right then, because I didn't need any of that stuff. But as I've grown to the point that I'm at now, all I've had to do is just take my systems that I already built. I've had to tweak some of them, but just put them into place, you know? So it was a huge struggle. For 2 years, it was a struggle for me.
2 years of kind of, would you say, building the foundation of the whole thing?
Yeah.
Is that what it was, or what was the struggle? I mean, I understand coming into something, it's going to be a struggle, but what was the biggest challenge that you saw during that time?
Just growth in general. So just gaining traction, building your audience, you know, putting all the right people in the right places. I've gone through a few social media people, and they did great for me. And that's the thing that I want to really press on this, is that I appreciate every single person that's ever stepped through my door, because they have helped me get to the point that I'm at now, which I'm not, you know, I'm nothing crazy big, but I've come a long way. You know what I mean? It's just about getting all the right people in the right positions. My coaching staff now is phenomenal. You know, we share the same vision. I interview every single member that comes in our door, so that we don't, I just don't want someone to be like a bad seed and a bad fit for us. So if someone isn't going to fit in with us, then I'll direct them to another gym or somewhere else in town. It's how am I willing to, or how am I able to help you, you know? And if you're going to come in and they're not going to fit with us, then I'm not going to be able to help you, you know?
Man, that's huge, because normally you don't see that in memberships or in gyms. It's you know, open doors and everybody comes in. If you have the membership, you're part of it, you know, part of the group. But again, it goes back to what I was saying. I mean, I experienced that. I mean, and I did one class a couple of days ago, and I kind of felt the connection between, you know, all you guys. It was almost like, you know, talking to relatives when you guys were messing around with each other, or you know, via Zoom. It was a Zoom workout, and it's I mean, but that makes sense. I'd never seen a model like that where you actually, you know, pre-qualify who you're gonna accept as gym members. So that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and the thing is that you can't be afraid to fire members either, you know. Mm-hmm. So if someone's in your community or within your family structure, and they are making it rough for everyone else, you know, you can't have that person in there doing that. If they're paying for a service, if my members are all paying for a service, then I need to be able to provide that service for what they're paying for. You know, it's adding value to that service. And if someone's in there and they are disrupting another member, I can't have that in there, and it's not fair for them or for me or for the person that's causing the issue. You know, obviously if they're causing an issue, they don't want to be there anyways.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to have hard conversations with people as a business owner and as a leader, you know?
Yeah, no, you're completely right. And it's one of I know that, at least for me, it was one of the scariest things at first, to have those difficult conversations. And I still have a problem with it. You know, whenever I have to have a hard talk or something like that, it's not, you know, I'm not all pumped up about it. I'll think about it. I'll procrastinate a little bit on it. I'll kind of push it back. And it's, at the end of the day, it's got to get done though. It's one of the, like, some people have it, some people have to build up to it, but it's definitely, I mean, you hit it right on the head. It's definitely something that you got to do as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, more than anything, as a leader. So it doesn't matter how many people you're leading. If it's one because you're starting off, or if it's 150, it's, you know, it's irrelevant. The skill has to be there though. I like how you have, I mean, you have a gym set up. So you're approaching from the health and fitness side, but you're really solving bigger problems. It's not just, you know, conditioning and cardio and all that stuff. I mean, I mean, it almost seems like your approach is solving something different at a more personal level. And tell me about that.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like I was saying, like when I interview people, I ask them, the very first question is why are you here? You know, what brought you here today? And if someone's like, well, I want to lose weight. Okay, well, that's not the driving force. You know, like, why do you want to lose weight? what's the reason behind it? There's got to be a deeper reasoning behind why you want to lose weight. So if I set a goal for myself and I'm like, I want to lift 500 pounds, well, that's cool, but why? There has to be a why behind it. And a lot of people come in and they have confidence issues, or they're struggling with the loss of a family member or something, you know what I mean? Like, I know everyone's story in my gym because I've had conversations with them. And the way that I onboard them is that we do personal training. So I do one-on-one personal training with them for 4 sessions, and I get to know that person. I get to know about their family, about who they are as a person and what they do on their off time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you connect to them, and you just tell them about you also, so they feel comfortable with you. And this is more of a personal thing than, you know what I mean? I can teach anybody, like I said, to lift crazy heavy things. This is mental, man. Everything about this is mental. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, at the end of the day, eventually I would like to do something in the mental health field. And that's kind of how we were trying to go for a long time. And there's a lot of red tape. There's just so much red tape. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of years. But yeah, definitely would like to do something in the mental health field.
Yeah, it's very interesting to see the impact that you're able to make through a completely different approach. And yeah, there's gyms that may say that they focus on the well-being and personal health of their members, but I haven't seen any of them go as far as pre-qualifying and saying no to a membership, which I think, kudos for that, because you're sticking to your core purpose and your essence, and I think that carries on with your members, man. Well, what's been one of your biggest aha moments through the whole process?
Biggest what moments?
One of your biggest aha moments through the whole process since you got started, and yeah, like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming, but wow.
Dang, I don't know. I've had a lot of those.
Biggest
I guess it's
got to pop up.
Just dealing with people in general, especially people that. So, for instance, I don't want to get too deep into that, but like just hiring people in general. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So if you hire someone and they kind of tell you who they are, and you don't really know that person at first, you're just going off of what they've told you or what you see on paper, and then you really start to see that person over time and how they interact with people, and then you have to sit back and go, man, I got to let this person go, So things like that, just rushing into things too quickly and not really, really, really doing your research on hiring people, that makes sense.
It's no, absolutely, man. It's one of the biggest challenges, because whenever somebody wants to get hired, they always come forth with the best, what's the saying? They put their best foot forward. Yeah. And that's what you see. That's what you see from them. And yeah, it may carry, that vibe for the, couple of weeks, but if they're not really cut out, to be a fit for that particular position, they're going to start dwindling after a period of about 3 months. Psychologically, it's the threshold that we have built into each. I don't know if you've noticed that, but try to notice it on your employees. You can get somebody who's not fit or a good fit for that spot. They'll probably put in a good 3 months, and then they'll start to kind of dwindle after that. That's why you see a lot of attrition or average higher rates of like 6 months, because they worked well for 3, and then the other 3 they just couldn't bear them. But it's almost it's psychological click that we have through seasons. It's crazy, but I mean that's how it works. Because we're wired to behave it. When it comes to business, to behave in quarters. Isn't that? It's crazy. Right. But yeah, it's you're right, man. People start to kind of drop the interest, and then you see it on small things at first, and then it just becomes problems. Again, though, like having those big conversations, it's better to. Are you of the school of hire slow and fire fast, or what's your approach?
For me,
Yeah.
Now, I mean, initially, yeah, I was working so much that I was just trying to take some weight off my back, you know? So I was like, hey, oh, you got some certs? Cool. You want to help out? You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was like that. But now, I mean, the staff that I have, I would like them to stick around long term, you know, and they're crazy good fit for us. They fit our culture awesome. You know, my social media person's killing it. The other person I had social media wise, he was great. I'm not gonna lie. He was a teenage kid that had just gone to college and he was doing awesome. But he ended up going to ASU and he was doing it remotely, and it was just kind of, I needed someone to be here. And the person that I found was actually through like some affinity marketing stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Like so affinity marketing would be like, so on the center of the target, and then you work outside rings from there. So then the people that were closest to me within the gym introduced me to someone else, and then it just kind of goes out. So it was someone that was working out in the gym knew someone, and then they put them in that place, you know. The coaches I actually found, they were at another gym and they ended up with us, and I'm honestly like super thankful that worked out the way it did, because they're phenomenal and they fit our culture. Like it couldn't be a better fit for coaches.
So I don't know if this is going to be a little bit of a redundant question, but what do you think? I mean, you started off with this one purpose, right? To improve people's lives. And I mean, it really hitting the mental aspect of it before the physical aspect kicks in, which I completely agree. That's where the issue is. If there's, you know, obesity, there's, you know, a lot of the illnesses really come because we have a mental issue or something, you know, some type of block that does not allow us or stop us, you know, either driving down motivation or creating actually, you know, physical symptoms and that sort of thing. But you started an approach on the mental side of things. How do you think that has played out in the type of people that are kind of coming to you right now?
Well, that's kind of a crazy hard question, but it's through others. You know, it's a lot of word of mouth. They see, and it's not only that. Like, they see us on social media, and we're always kind of asking the question, like, how can I help you? What is your biggest struggle? Like, how am I able to help you? And then people will reach out with their problem, you know. And then if you can answer that problem in a way that they can understand and they can kind of grasp it, then they're like, oh yeah, okay, you know, I'll try it. And that's the thing. Like, if I can get someone into the door to have a conversation with them, then I can help them, you know, because I've been there. I've been overweight. I've been depressed. Everyone struggles with stuff. Every single person on the planet, I don't care who you are, where you come from, does not discriminate. You have struggled with something. So, and you just have to break that barrier.
Yeah, man, it's pretty interesting. We've talked shop a few times before, but we hadn't really gotten deep into a conversation. And I didn't know that was the premise of your business. I find it very, very, very interesting, and it's admirable that you know, that you take that approach to actually making a difference in people's lives, and you know, build up from that, which you know, in return gives you, you know, the business that you can run and just, you know, further reach. How are you handling? I mean, right now with we're going through the pandemic, and it's, you know, coronavirus has stopped a lot of the businesses out there. Some are still running. I'm still running on my side of the other businesses that I own. But I know, like, you know, anything with physical proximity it's pretty much at a halt or slow down dramatically. How are you handling that switch?
So it's all about holding your members accountable, you know. Like, so right now we kind of went stagnant, but I'm okay with that, because there's this adjustment period, and the last couple of weeks have been that adjustment period. But for the last 2 weeks, I've made contact with every single one of my members personally through text message, through call, through messenger, whatever it is, asking them how they're doing, what's going on. And it has nothing to do with the exercise, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about that. I want to know, like, how are you guys doing? How's your headspace? You know, do you need anything from me? And I'm struggling with my own stuff too, you know, but it's about communication. It's about showing those people that you care about them, not just for money, but for them. You know, you actually care about that person. So if I could do this for free, I totally would, you know, but obviously we live in a world that revolves around some sort of compensation for your services.
Yeah,
you know?
well, you're overwhelming, you know, people with value. So that's your approach. It only makes sense, right? So,
Right.
And so how are you, like right now you came at Hulk. I mean, you still have overhead, you still have, you know, things that need to, you know, get covered and get paid. How does a business like yours, which needs the foot traffic, you know, for the most part, how are you handling that? How are you still keeping the revenue coming in, and what are you doing to adapt to that sort of thing?
So like I said, the last couple of weeks have been kind of stagnant, and we were on a huge growth. Like we were almost 150% growth the last 2 months, and it just crashing halt. You know what I mean? So what we did was we figured out what we needed to do, and the reason I was going to close prior to the forced closure anyway, so that I can get all my systems into place and get all the bugs worked out before, because I kind of seen it coming. So that's what I did. I planned our close. I announced it to everybody. I did the Zoom classes live. We're doing online programming for people. I still have one-on-one clients. I'm going remote to their houses, you know, for my personal training clients. I have an older couple that comes to my house and just a couple times a week. And that's, like I said, it's just a service that I want to keep providing for them. They need it. You know, they're in their 70s, so they need to keep mobile. But now I'm out of that stage, and we're working on some growth stuff now, because I need to continue to grow, because I don't know how long this is going to last. So we're going to run a 21-day challenge for us. We're going to run a 21-day challenge. It can be to anyone, and it's going to be $33 a week, not expensive at all. And then they can join. Anybody can join from anywhere, and they get online workouts. They get what we call GroupMe. I don't know if you're familiar with that app. It's like a text message app, and all of our members are part of it. And that way we can hold each other accountable, shoot messages back and forth, just basically bullshit and goof off. But they'll get put into a group of their own, and that way their little 21-day challenge group can hold each other accountable. They can meet and, you know, hang out, whatever. And then we'll do like a Zoom class with them every now and then, but it's mostly just going to be online training.
Are you 21-day challenge? It's I mean, when you see that kind of stuff, is like you have a 90-day, you know, RIP challenge, or I think those are, I mean, they can be a little bit extreme, but I think 21 is very, very reasonable. Is there the 21-day thing? Was it because of any particular reason, or was it just, you know, something that?
So that mentorship that I'm a part of about 500 gyms. And we bounce ideas off of each other all of the time. So you post on the little message board, and hey, this is what's working here. This is what's not working here. And we're just constantly bouncing ideas off of one another.
Power of the mastermind, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just the group. And then I have a mentor that actually gives me ideas, and so it's called Two Brain Business is what it is. And they are phenomenal. Like if you know anybody in the gym industry struggling, man, like I would definitely call these guys. But they have classes, like online classes that you can take if you're struggling in something. People in other gyms that build programs, they post them on there so that you can just kind of grab them and then tweak them for your particular gym. It's like a plug and play, you know, and vice versa. If I have something that's phenomenal, then I'll post it to the group, and then Two Brain will reach out and be like, hey, that's awesome. Can we steal that? I'm like, yeah, it's yours. So that's kind of where it came from. One of those ideas came from there, and it's working, you know, it's working around the country right now.
I like the pivot that you're taking really on on the whole thing, right? Of course, I mean, you're going to from a face-to-face physical type of business, you have to pivot into something else forcefully. You were kind of already in the works of it, but I'm assuming that deadline got pushed over quite a bit. But it's like you just got to find a solution right now, because you're not able to do the business the same way that you were doing it. I mean, we are pivoting some stuff in the real estate industry, and the coaching and consulting industry, and that sort of thing. And I think finding a way to reach more people, and then obviously do it online or do it through programs. I mean, that's what's gonna get people through the gap right now, through that gutter, until things kind of level out again, and then everything's back to normal. For the time being, I think it's super, super important to jump into something quick. To just, even if you don't understand 100% how the damn thing's gonna look like, just go ahead and do it. Start with that first step forward, and then jump into it and plan it out. Because I think if you sit there and think about it too much and planning, it's the whole thing's gonna be gone, and your business is gonna be gone along with it.
Right. Right. So you always hear that phrase like evolve or go extinct, right? I don't really like, that's huge. That's huge in any business, I think. You have to be willing to make the changes as things come up, because nothing's for sure. Nothing's a guarantee in business. It's just not that way. So you have to adapt, and you have to overcome, and you have to make changes quick. You have to be able to do it quickly, and not sit there and sulk about it and be like, oh, why is this happening? It's like, yeah, this sucks, but at the end of the day, we have to do this, this, and this, and there can be a period where you kind of sit back and you're like, okay, what do I need to do? But things need to happen relatively quickly.
Exactly. It doesn't mean to sit there and not think about things before or rushing into stuff, but at least having some type of educated guess on something, and then taking that action. Because I mean, I think entrepreneurs, for the most part, we learn through action. Yeah, there's a lot of theory, there's a lot of books, there's a lot of stuff that we can look at and to gain knowledge, but it's all going to be theoretical until we actually apply it. And then you say, like, shit, man, this is nothing like I was like I had it pictured.
And that's the thing, is that everyone's experience is different. Your experience was different than mine, and my experience is different than the next guy, but we're all kind of in the trenches together,
Absolutely. So, I love the fact that you're tapping into the collective knowledge of the people in your industry. I mean, that's huge. I was just having a conversation with a buddy of mine who owns a graphic design business, right? And we started doing that in my industry, or actually for one of my real estate investment businesses. We started doing that and actually collaborating with competition. Quote unquote competition, right? So it's really like having conversations, what's working for you, and surprisingly, everybody was willing to share. And you come up with new strategies in marketing, you come up with new ideas on how to solve stuff. Next thing you know, you have a very cohesive culture within a solid group of people. And I was presenting that notion to this guy, to my friend, and he goes, no, man, like, if I do that, people are going to steal my ideas, and then they're going to, they're going to steal my business. Like,
so here's the deal. Like, so if you already have all these ideas, right, and someone's willing to try to take your idea, you're already the leader. So they're already a step behind you when you're already developed your systems. And yeah, they might do it, but they're going to do it differently anyways. They're not going to be exactly like you. And so, at least in my industry, I'm going to attract people that are around the same personality type as myself. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, that's just the way it is in our industry. Each gym in town, yeah, we're all CrossFitters or whatever, but at the end of the day, I'm attracting an entire different group than the gym up the road, or the other gym down the street. It's just, it's really hard to explain when it comes to CrossFit gyms. First of all, they're very, very, very territorial. And it's super bizarre. Yeah, it's a super bizarre like dynamic, but when there's a competition or something, everyone's together and everyone's high-fiving, and it's like this awesome atmosphere, But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, my gym's better than yours. It's like this sense of pride, like high school.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to a high school, stoked on your high school and
Repping the jacket, yeah.
Yeah. Easiest
No,
way.
that's amazing. So, what do you? I mean, what's your ideal trait for leaders? For example, I mean, you're in a space where you have the opportunity to actually tap into people who want to be a part of something, right? How do you lead a group like that? I mean, what in your opinion, what are the biggest traits of a leader?
Well, you have to be willing to do the things that you're asking others to do, first of all. You can't just be passing things off because you don't want to do them. But you also have to be willing to tell the people that you're leading that you don't know, like, I don't know. Like, we need to figure it out together, or I will figure it out and get back to you. You have to be big enough to tell people when you don't know what you're talking about. Because I don't know everything. I don't know everything in the gym industry. I absolutely don't. But I'm gonna hire someone that does, So I'm a generalist. I know a lot of stuff I know a little about a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna hire experts. I'm gonna surround myself by people that are smarter than me. You know what I mean? I think that's important as a leader, that you have to be willing to admit that.
Full transparency and staying genuine goes a long way, man. People appreciate that. People appreciate that, especially if they're in a space where you have to build trust. Given, for example, what you're trying to do. If it was just opening the doors like as you walk in, the machinery is there, the workout equipment is there. That's one thing, right? But the approach that you're taking is to actually connect with your clients. It's to actually engage with them and be a part of whatever it is that their life at this point in time is. And you can't do that without transparency. It's pretty interesting that you have that notion already built into the way that you operate. Does that so that's you as a leader. Does that convey over to your team?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of the day, like, I'm going to tell my team what needs to get done, but I'm not ordering them. I'm not telling them, hey, I need you to do it. Some things, yes. Some things, hey, this needs to get done this way. Obviously, you have your SOPs and your SOGs in place, and these are the things that are non-negotiable. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But when you have to give the person that you hired, you have to trust that person enough to be free to do their job. You know what I mean? Like, I want to hire someone that knows how to do their job. I shouldn't have to hold someone's hand the entire time that they're there. You know what I mean? So make a decision. If it's going to get someone hurt, obviously ask me and we'll go from there. But make a decision. Don't be afraid to kind of lead yourself too. Like, I want self motivators and someone that doesn't need me to guide them the entire time.
Handhold them, yeah, an empowered team, and you're always going to be able to do a lot more with an empowered team than with a team that you're overly controlling of. Yeah. I learned that the hard way in my first business, because I just wanted to. I was spending a lot of money that wasn't mine, and I felt under the pressure to perform, and I just wanted to make sure that every single little thing was being handled the right way, quote unquote, when I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And I think, to a point, what happened, at least, for the first, I want to say 4 to 6 months, I was smothering my people and choking. I didn't have that big of a team, luckily. And I say that luckily because I didn't mess it up for too many. But it was almost asphyxiating, like, as an owner, especially a fresh owner, with all that fear and all that pressure and all, the possibilities of what can go wrong lingering in your head. And then you're looking at your team and trying to still micromanage everything. That's a recipe for failure, I think.
Yeah. So I think that for first time business owners, and I can say this for myself, that when I first opened the business, like, it's your baby. You don't want to leave it. You don't want to do anything that might jeopardize the progress that you've made, And,
right.
And I think the thing that we learn in business over time is that business is like a pendulum. You know, it swings back one way and then it'll swing back the other way. You know, as long as you're not going as far back as the beginning each time and you're always making more forward progress, then that's kind of what you have to look at, because it's always going to swing back, you know, as long as you keep pushing and doing all the right things. But if you micromanage people, it'll sink your ship so quickly, because you're not going to have any team to be there, because no one wants to work for someone where you got your thumb on top of them and you're like, hey, you know, it's just, no one's ever going to
Exactly.
be, that's the thing. No one's ever going to be you. No one's ever going to take care of the things that you've been doing all this time by yourself, the way that you've been doing it. It's just not going to happen. You just have to find someone that is good at their job and they're willing to do that job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, but I think also that, you know, tapping into the overall culture, you know, makes it that much better. And then people get a vested interest in the company, in the organization, and then they actually care about what they're doing. And, you know, they go from, you know, the potential robot to somebody who's actually, you know, engaged.
For sure.
And it's crazy, man, but employee engagement, on average in the United States, it's at about 30%, dude. Meaning that 3 out of 10 people that go to work are actually engaged in what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's insane. That's insane. So, what's your best advice, dude, for starting entrepreneurs?
Don't be too hard on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like that term, fake it till you make it. I don't like that term per se, but no one knows what they're doing. You know, we're all kind of just navigating the waters when we first start. And as we do new things, just don't be too hard on yourself. Make sure that you acknowledge the little bright spots, the little goals, you know, that you achieve. Mm-hmm. And the big goal over here, that'll happen. You know, it's slow.
I heard that's awesome, man. I heard a saying a while back, and it wasn't fake it till you make it. It was fake it till you become it. So you're actually, I mean, because when you're putting yourself in that spot, you start taking the actions, and you know that's going to prepare you, and at some point inevitably you're going to become that person because you're in it. So
I think the big thing for starting out entrepreneurs is that you really have to acknowledge the wins. You have to acknowledge the little wins, and all those little micro wins add up to big wins. So you have to continue to acknowledge those, because if you don't acknowledge wins, then you never feel like you've accomplished anything. So I think it's really important that new entrepreneurs do that.
To recognize the wins and actually acknowledge them, celebrate them.
Yeah.
So, it's easy to fall into that. It's easy to fall into that rut where you're going so fast that you win something, even if it's a small win. And I'll speak for myself. You know, where I achieved something that I wanted to get to. It was like, okay, I got this, awesome. You get so excited for like 2 seconds, and I'm already thinking about the next thing. And I didn't enjoy it. I didn't, celebrate it. And when you look at the track record, you have a good amount of checkoffs, but you don't have that feeling to go along with them, and I think that's important. Right.
So there's a thing that my mentorship actually makes people do most of the time is it's Bright Spot Fridays. So at the end of the week, they want you to post something that happened throughout the week that was a bright spot. Mm-hmm. Something, it was just a win. That's all it is. Mm-hmm. It's a small, tiny win. And, so you're not only focusing on all the bad things. There's going to be a million bad things, always. Mm-hmm. Always in business. There's a million bad things. So when you're first starting, there's not that many good things at first. You're grinding, you're tired, you're sad, you're depressed, you're broke,
Yeah.
All these
hopeless.
All these things, they just keep adding up. So just take a step back for a second and acknowledge the things that are going right.
So I wasn't the only one that was looking at that regular paycheck, and thinking of going back to it at the beginning, right?
Dude, I have my days still where I'm like, man, dude, I left a job that I was making about $100,000 a year to do this. So, and I'm not making anywhere near that now. So.
No, but it's risks. I mean, you can either, this is how you see it, man. I have the notion that, yeah, we have the ability to make money. But for example, at least for me, I don't just want to make money. I want to enjoy it. I want to make happy money. So I'm not complaining. I'm doing well, but if I ramped it up another 30%, which I know I could because I have the time, I have the cushion, I have, the way to do it. My headaches would also ramp up another 30%. And it's not something that I don't want. So, I mean, picking your battles and really know what race you're trying to win, right? I mean, it makes, I think.
So I think that it's really important as an entrepreneur to map out your perfect day. This is kind of an
ask you about that.
Yeah. Map out your perfect day is write it down. Where do you want, if you could wake up at any time during the day, what time would that be? What would you do from the time you woke up until the time you went to bed? So I think that's really important to know, again, the reason why you're starting the business. What are your true goals? Is it to become a millionaire? Is it to become free? There's all kinds of different reasons why people do business, go into business. Mine, for me, is that I want freedom. I want to be able to go hiking with my kids whenever I want. I want to be able to go on vacations a few times a year. And I mean, I was doing all those things before, but I was never home. Those were the times I was home. That's it. I want to be able to have the freedom to wake up and say, hey, do I want to go to the office today? Do I want to go into the gym? Do I want to coach a class? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? And I think for me, that's what it is,
That's pretty solid, man. I think success is subjective, and a lot of people see it as having, the top things in luxury. Some other people see it as, having the basics with a ton of time. But it's important too. It doesn't matter what success looks like to you. And I mean you in general. It's got to be defined. Otherwise, you have no idea what you're shooting at.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter how many actions or what actions you take. If you thrive, if you make $1 million, I mean, it does not matter if you don't have a notion or a clear definition of what success is to you.
Exactly.
So with that in mind, what does your average day look like
right now?
Yeah. Well,
I'm hanging out here in my garage, quarantine.
Quarantine, sitting in the bucket.
Yeah. So no, but before all this happened, I would wake up around 4:15 in the morning, and I would head off to the gym, and I'd be at the gym by 4:45 or so, and I'd have my first class at 5:30, and then another one at 6:30, and then personal training at 8, and then a class at 9, and personal training, and then but as I started hiring people, it took some weight off me, and I would usually only work until about noon, which is pretty nice.
And built it out. So you had almost I mean, was that structure in the mornings pretty solid? I mean, was that something that wasn't daily? See, that's the thing, man. Like you're saying, you're telling me about your morning and what it looks like. I think one thing that's missed often is the level of discipline that's needed. It doesn't matter what type of business that you're doing. You're gonna need a high level of discipline to one, control yourself, control your willpower, and actually do the things that you need to do to make the business move forward. What you're saying right now, what you're telling me, I've heard it from multiple people in different industries, and it's people who are running big companies and running smaller companies. At the end of the day, it comes down to some of the basic principles.
Yeah.
But what are your do you have any non-negotiables, like stuff that you do on the daily that's like, all right, I gotta do this or I won't go to sleep?
I mean, dude, I'm a creature of habit, so I thrive on structure, and I thrive on things that routine. I think all human beings thrive on routine. So if you can
Mm-hmm.
get into that routine and stick with it, then you'll be fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, I get up at 4:15 every day. Right now, with all this going on, I'm still getting up very early so that I can keep my schedule. I'm not slacking off. At night, I mean, you mean like before I go to bed? Everything's just very structured for me. From the time I get up, and obviously now it's kind of a little out of whack, but on when everything was operating smoothly, it was very, very routine. Everything was very, very routine.
And I mean, that's the thing. I think that's important to have, at least to a level. For example, me having the same routine kills me, right? I can't do the same thing over and over again. I'll get bored and I'll lose interest, and then I fall out the wagon. But what I can do, what works really well for me, is time bucketing or time blocking. So I have different time blocks for different things. And that's where I kind of plug in. I'll plug in different activities, but it's during that particular time block for that purpose.
Right. And that's what I mean by routine,
Okay. Cool. So between 4 and 6, for example, I'll do meditation. Between 6 and 8, I have my thinking and creative time. That's when I, write stuff or do whatever. And then I have, another time block for growth and fitness. And then I have another time block for productivity, which is where like all the tasks and actually follow-ups and business kind of things kick in, and then I have a disconnect button at the end of the day. But that to me is, without that structure in place, I'm all over, man. Like I can't. Yeah, I'd be focusing on the wrong things, and for 80% of the day, and then wonder where the hell the day went.
It's all about time management.
Yeah, I want to backtrack a little bit. You mentioned the Fridays. What were they called?
Bright Spot Friday.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I do something similar. We have performance meetings every Monday, right? And then it's like to check the pulse of the business. Is where we're at. That's where we look at KPIs, at the scorecard. We analyze any deals that are coming through the pipeline or anything that matters to our business. We do with management. We do it on Mondays. And one of the things that I incorporated into it was a little section where we talk about gratitude. We talk about realizations that we had this week or last week. And then we talk about the top 3. So meaning so we have the gratitude, anything. I mean, that's self-explanatory, right? Being grateful for, what am I grateful for? And we actually verbalize that. We have that little conversation. And it doesn't even take long, man. But by the time you're done with that little process with your small, management team, it makes a world of difference, dude. Everybody feels more connected. That person, just the energy level, rises. And it's pretty cool to have, to help them see the wins that way. That was really the main reason why I implemented that. But it sounds similar to what you guys are doing on Fridays. That's dope, man. I love it.
Yeah, it's important, man. I feel like it is. I feel like it's important. Yeah.
What's the biggest problem right now that you see in your industry? And what are you doing about it?
The biggest problem within the fitness industry is, just people pushing bullshit, man. Like selling.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, just selling lies. So if I could tell someone, hey, you could lose 90 pounds in 60 days, that's probably bullshit,
Mm-hmm.
So the big thing is that you need to be able to regurgitate to the people fact and what they're going to be capable of doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's just not about lying to people, and that's why people don't do CrossFit, is because of either they've been injured in the past because of shitty coaches, people that just don't care, or they've been told that they could accomplish this goal in X amount of time, and no one ever held them accountable or pushed them. You know what I mean? So if someone comes in and sets a goal with me, then I'm going to hold them to that goal. I'll be like, hey, where are you at on this? Where are you at on this? You know what I mean? So it's just, I guess, it's shitty coaches, man. It's shitty coaches. That's what it comes down to, I think. It really is, man. Because people get hurt a lot in CrossFit. I think that's got a bad name. It's got a bad name for it.
I did at the beginning, and I think that's why I never really got into it. I got my level 1 cert a long time ago, and I got it with a friend of mine, my buddy Leo. He stuck with it,
Oh,
so he's
Leo
still doing
Costa?
it. Yeah, Leo Costa, yeah.
Yeah.
So he was actually running my company. I didn't know you knew him.
Yeah.
So yeah. So he was running my transportation company. We go way back to high school, and I mean he's one of my best friends. And but so he's stuck with it, and he's doing well. Like I went into it. I think I trained a couple of times. I must have been doing some shit wrong because I got injured. I was not corrected, and I think what you're saying right now, I think it's exactly what happened to me. And I lost a taste for it. Not that I had a lot of taste for it. It's just not, it was a different type of workout than what I was used to.
Right.
So, but I think that was one of the things that kind of steered me away from it. So I had the cert, and I understood, the somewhat of the dynamics of the process, but again, like it came down to not having the right guidance behind it that makes people walk away, man.
Yeah, it does. But as a coach, man, if you see someone doing something that they should be doing, then you need to say something to that person. And if they have such a big ego that they want to argue with you, it's like, hey, man, look, at the end of the day, you're in my establishment. I don't want you getting hurt. So either take the weight off or, you're done for the day. So you just have to, again, it comes down to having those hard conversations with people. And I think that a lot of coaches are afraid to have those conversations with people. They don't want to say something to someone because of pushback or whatever, maybe they're afraid of their boss or whatever, but if I've got someone in our gym and they're not doing what they're supposed to, I'm going to pull them to the side, and I'm not going to call them out in front of everybody. I'm going to be like, hey, look, I know that you're strong, but you need to take the weight off, or you need to do this, or you need to do that, change something. And if they're continuously just not listening to me, then we're going to have a different conversation, So I think that's the biggest thing, is that there's so many gyms out there that just want people in the door, and they just want that membership fee. They don't really care as much about the people,
I'm curious, do you see longevity in memberships? Or do you see what's the average attrition for gym memberships?
So that's just it right there, is that my retention rate is pretty high. Most of the people that have been with me for a long time. So it's obviously, people come and go, but you can always tell the people that are there short term and the people that are going to last. But you don't change anything. You still give them the same amount of attention. You still show them that you care about them, and you still treat them as a person. It's not just about memberships, but it's just keeping people engaged. You have to constantly keep people engaged. And the nostalgia of walking into a CrossFit gym, if you've never done it before, it's there. It's big. It's brand new. It's exciting. This community is awesome. Whatever. And then it kind of dies out toward a couple months in, like you said, 6 months in or whatever. So how do you keep those people around? You just have to keep them, to re-engage them somehow. You have to figure out what they're lacking, what's wrong, where your motivation go. It's just constant work on your part. You just have to be willing to go the extra mile for that person. If that makes sense.
I'm going to give you props on that, man, because you're finding a very, very unusual way to approach business growth. And I think that's going to trickle over to your team, and as expansion comes, it's going to trickle over to your management, and they're going to do end up doing the same thing, but it's all coming from the source. So yeah, that's awesome. If you were walking down the street and you ran into your 17-year-old self, what would you tell that kid, man?
I'd kick his ass.
It doesn't have to be business. You probably would.
Oh yeah, I would, man. Shit, dude. You've known me for a really long time, dude. I was a punk, dude. I was a punk kid. Yeah. I thought I knew everything about life, about everything, and quite frankly, I was an asshole. I don't know that I would listen. I don't know that I could tell him anything, if that makes sense.
Wow. Yeah, that's the first.
Yeah, man. I don't know that I would take any advice from anyone. I was kind of like this this crazy young man,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I'd say anything.
Don't let the demeanor fool you. This guy seems chill and relaxed, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't do that. I think that I would not say anything to him. I know that sounds crazy.
No, I mean it is what it is. That's interesting, dude. It's interesting. So, would you go about everything the same way that you have? If you could change, switch anything in your trajectory, is there anything that you would have done differently?
So I've talked about this a lot, and no, man, I don't think I would. And with all the hardships and everything I've been through my whole life, I don't think that I would change anything. And the reason for that is that every experience that we have in life makes us who we are today. So if I were to change anything, who would I be now? You know? Yeah. So no, man, I wouldn't change a thing. I think that all the bullshit that I went through and just all the growth, you know, I don't think I'd be the same person. I don't think I'd be as humbled. I don't think that I would be as aware. I don't think I would. I think that if I had it perfect, then no, I wouldn't change shit, man.
Man, that's beautiful. It's beautiful to hear that, because it's coming from well, now you're in a space where you can help others, and I think that's where it's all branching out from. I mean, you going through your personal hardships and then being able to use that as fuel. I mean, it can either go, you know, one or two ways, right? It goes really, really bad.
Absolutely.
Or you can, you know, take it, own it, and then create something great with it, which is what you're doing, man. So props on that. What's been your, I mean, you obviously done a lot of growth, personal growth, kind of stuff.
Right.
And I mean, I can tell from the way that we are talking. So give me some resource. What's been your favorite book, or your favorite resource in business or personal growth or something like that? Something that the audience can tap into.
I know it sounds cheesy, man, but there's a book out there called Help First.
Help First?
Yeah, Chris Cooper wrote it. I mean, it's mostly geared toward gyms, but it works in any service type industry, you know. You have to be willing to help someone first. You know, you have to be willing to give someone free advice or free help, and show them that there's value in what you're trying to sell. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think that's
you're definitely taking that to heart, man. That's awesome. It's really I'm so happy, man. I mean, after years we kind of connected back, and it's pretty cool to see how you've developed and you've turned you know, something that's normally taken as a pretty, you know, straightforward, standard kind of pragmatic business into something more into the personal connection side and the helping side of things. So it's that's new to me. I haven't seen that a lot. So props on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, man. So if somebody wants to sign up for your upcoming trainings and everything, where can they find you?
FuelFitnessYuma.com. They can go to the website.
FuelFitnessYuma.com.
Yep, FuelFitnessYuma.com. Yeah, we're going to be running a 21-day challenge, and we're still meeting. So if they sign up, it's just a quick click, and they can schedule a little Zoom video like you and I are doing right now, and we can go over whatever it is that they want to talk about. I mean, it's not necessarily any particular goal. Just we could just talk if they want, you know. So,
cool. So social media, where does somebody find you?
Yeah, Phil Fitness Yuma on Facebook and on Instagram also.
Both. Gotcha. Cool. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you taking the time and really having this conversation. You shed light on a whole different aspect of things that I wasn't even thinking about when we started, you know, the talk. We kind of put this in the books. So thank you for that. I appreciate it, bro. Yep, and there you guys have it. So Dan Welch, Fuel Fitness Yuma, crushing it and doing his thing, adapting and pivoting, and then being a better self through the whole process. And you got to hear.
You just got a backstage pass to the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. Make sure you follow us on YouTube and iTunes, and check out our website at ceopulse.com. Stay tuned, stay focused, you got this.